Climate change is one of the most pressing and complex challenges facing humanity today. It refers to long-term changes in global temperatures and weather patterns, primarily driven by human activities. The Earth's climate has always been subject to natural fluctuations, but the rapid and unprecedented changes we are witnessing now are largely the result of human actions, particularly since the Industrial Revolution. The causes of climate change are deeply rooted in our reliance on fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial activities, and its effects are already being felt across the globe, with profound implications for the environment, economies, and societies. The primary cause of climate change is the increased concentration of greenhouse gases, GHGs, in the atmosphere, with carbon dioxide, CO2, being the most significant. These gases trap heat from the sun, creating a greenhouse effect that warms the planet. While this effect is natural and necessary to sustain life on Earth, human activities have greatly amplified it. The burning of fossil fuels, such as coal, oil, and natural gas, for energy and transportation releases vast amounts of CO2 into the atmosphere. Deforestation, another major contributor, reduces the number of trees that can absorb CO2, further exacerbating the problem. Additionally, industrial processes and agricultural practices release other potent GHGs, such as methane, CH4, and nitrous oxide, N2O, contributing to the warming of the planet. The effects of climate change are already visible and are projected to become more severe in the coming decades. One of the most immediate impacts is the rise in global temperatures. The Earth's average temperature has increased by about 1.2 degrees Celsius since the late 19th century, with most of this warming occurring in the last few decades. This seemingly small increase has far-reaching consequences. For instance, it has led to the melting of polar ice caps and glaciers, contributing to rising sea levels. As sea levels rise, coastal communities around the world are increasingly vulnerable to flooding, erosion, and storm surges. Low-lying areas, particularly in developing countries, face the risk of being submerged, leading to the displacement of millions of people. Climate change also affects weather patterns, making extreme weather events more frequent and severe. Heat waves have become more intense and prolonged, leading to deadly consequences for vulnerable populations, particularly in regions where air conditioning is not widely available. Hurricanes and typhoons are becoming stronger and more destructive, fueled by warmer ocean waters. Droughts are occurring more frequently, impacting agriculture and water supplies, while some areas are experiencing more intense rainfall, leading to devastating floods. These changes in weather patterns can disrupt ecosystems, agriculture, and water resources, threatening food security and livelihoods, especially in poorer regions that are less equipped to adapt. Another significant effect of climate change is its impact on biodiversity. Many species are struggling to adapt to the rapidly changing environment, leading to shifts in ecosystems and, in some cases, the extinction of species. For example, coral reefs, which are home to a vast array of marine life, are highly sensitive to temperature changes. The warming of ocean waters leads to coral bleaching, where corals lose their vibrant colors and become more susceptible to disease. If temperatures continue to rise, many coral reefs could disappear, with devastating consequences for marine biodiversity and the human communities that depend on them for food and livelihoods. Similarly, shifting climate zones are forcing animals and plants to migrate to new areas, often leading to conflicts with human populations and the disruption of established ecosystems. The effects of climate change are not only environmental, but also social and economic. As resources become scarcer and natural disasters more frequent, competition for food, water, and land can lead to conflict and instability. In many parts of the world, climate change is exacerbating existing inequalities, with the poorest and most vulnerable communities being the hardest hit. These communities often lack the resources and infrastructure needed to adapt to the changing climate, making them more susceptible to the impacts of climate change, such as food insecurity, health risks, and displacement. The economic costs of climate change are also significant, with damage to infrastructure, loss of productivity, and increased healthcare costs putting a strain on national economies. Climate change also has profound implications for public health. The spread of diseases is influenced by changing weather patterns, with warmer temperatures expanding the range of vector-borne diseases like malaria and dengue fever. Air quality is also affected, as higher temperatures can increase the concentration of pollutants like ozone, leading to respiratory problems. Additionally, extreme weather events can cause injuries, deaths, and mental health issues, further straining healthcare systems. Addressing climate change requires urgent and coordinated global action. Reducing GHG emissions is critical to slowing the rate of warming and mitigating the most severe impacts. This involves transitioning to renewable energy sources, improving energy efficiency, and protecting and restoring forests. Adaptation measures, such as building resilient infrastructure, developing drought-resistant crops, and implementing early warning systems for natural disasters, are also essential to helping communities cope with the changes that are already occurring. In conclusion, climate change is a multifaceted crisis that touches every aspect of life on Earth. Its causes are deeply embedded in modern society's reliance on fossil fuels and unsustainable practices, and its effects are wide-ranging and increasingly severe. The challenge of addressing climate change is immense, but it is also an opportunity to create a more sustainable and equitable future. The actions we take today will determine the world we leave for future generations, making it imperative that we act swiftly and decisively to combat this global threat.